Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. at Selhurst Park, Chelsea take on Crystal Palace in a huge relegation scrap. No, I'm joking. It's not a relegation scrap, is it? It's more of a mid-off, if anything. But it is a very important game that we win because regardless of where we are in the league table at the moment and whether or not we can salvage any hope of qualifying for European football through the places in the league table, this is a game that I think is pivotal that we capitalise on. Because winning games breeds winners. Winners win games, and winning games can get us to where we want to be at the end of the season, which is qualifying for some form of European football. And when you look at the way that the land lies at the minute, we are within touching distance of doing so. We do have a monumental challenge in front of us in Liverpool. However, if we were to win that game and in doing so win the League Cup, then we would qualify for the Europa League. And let's be honest, we all know that that is part of Todd Boehly's master plan. He came to Stamford Bridge, he heard us singing about winning it all, and he thought, hold on, you haven't won it all because you have never won the Europa Conference League. So let me do my best job to absolutely scupper the form and the class of this Chelsea team, plummet us down the league, and then hopefully we can qualify for the Conference League and we can go and win that. So let's hope that that is what Boehly was thinking. Then ultimately, what we then need to do is get relegated, try and win that Johnston's Paint Trophy, and then we really have won it all. No, I'm joking. But listen, beggars can't be choosers, you know, and I'm not saying that I would buzz off qualifying for the Europa Conference League, but I also wouldn't turn my nose up at it, you know, and also when you look at the fact that we are in to the 5th round of the FA Cup, we've got Leeds in front of us, it's a home tie. If we can win that game, then we're into the quarterfinals, and everyone knows that we are better in the cup competitions, apart from away trips to Middlesbrough. But for the most part, we're better in the cup competitions. And if we win the FA Cup, then we are in the Europa League. Anyway, very, very long-winded there. But the point I'm trying to make is it would be quite nice to beat Crystal Palace tomorrow, wouldn't it? But people, before we get into all that, welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are new around here, at the end of the video, if you like the content and you want to see more from myself, please, please, please hit the subscribe button this second right now. Smash that like button for me. It helps me out more than you could imagine. We are going to preview today's game, or tomorrow's game, I should say. We are going to be talking about the lineup. I'm going to give my starting lineup, and I do need to try and do this one in one take because we are live on the kickoff today for Aston Villa against Man United. Villa looking to bounce back from obviously us giving them an absolute pasting at Villa Park. Not to rub salt in the wounds, but, you know. So anyway, yeah, I need to shoot off so I can get to record the kickoff. So let's get straight into it. And we're going to get straight into it with my starting 11. Right, so I am going Robert Sanchez in goal. No, I'm joking. I'm going Petrovic, Gusto right back. I'm going Disasi. And then I am going to pair him with Thiago Silva. The reason being is that Benoit Badiashile is out. He's got another groin injury. I think he's had that injury before, so that's a bit concerning. What is going on with Chelsea and injuries over the past 3 years? But listen, I can't get into all that. What we do know is Levi Colwill will be back. But I think after what? A month on the sidelines, maybe that's going to be too soon to ease him back in. If it wasn't too soon to ease him back in, you know, I would go Disasi and Levi Colwill. It's such a shame about Badiashile, man, because that Villa performance, and let's just take a second, I know I put a video out on it, I've been a little bit quiet since then, that Villa performance was absolutely phenomenal. Best performance of the season, unreal, but I don't want to get too gassed up because before that performance, I was probably thinking that maybe our best performance of the season would have maybe been Arsenal, the 2-2 game. We lost the game after that to Brentford. Man City, the 4-4 game. Who did we lose to after that? Can't remember, but we definitely lost after that game. Spurs, I think we probably lost after that one and all. So what I'm trying to say here is the best performance hasn't always been followed by another good performance. And that is why we need to turn the form books on their head and make sure we do that in this match. I am going Silva partners with Disasi. And Thiago Silva was obviously dropped for that game. Was it tactical? Was it because of Bell Silva? I don't really know. But what I do know is Thiago Silva has been a really, really good servant to the club. And although he can be beaten, you know, running behind sometimes, I think when we look at Palace's team and Palace's injury concerns, we're not going to be threatened with the same amount of pace that maybe we were when they came to Stamford Bridge. So Thiago Silva there. Next to him will be Ben Chilwell. And then let's move on to the midfield three with a pivot. Is going to be Enzo and Caicedo. We know that already. They looked really good against Aston Villa. We just need to give these boys time to form that partnership, to build together. Does it concern me that maybe there's a little bit of lack of strength and lack of height there? Yes, it does. And maybe that's something we'll address. But maybe that's something when Romeo Lavia, who we will touch on, Maybe when he comes back, we'll see a bit of rotation in there, or we'll see players push forward, push backwards into other positions. We'll discuss that later. Enzo and Caicedo, and here's where I make my first sort of decision in this team that was a hard one for me, and that decision is obviously the fact that I am going to have to drop Conor Gallagher here. I am going to put Cole Palmer there, and I'll explain my reason why once you've seen my whole starting 11. So Cole Palmer in the number 10. 10. On the right-hand side, I'm going Noddy Madueke. Through the middle, let's leave that. On the left-hand side, I am going the absolute dog's bollocks when it comes to left wingers. You know what I'm talking about. It's Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson looked good there on the left wing, and obviously he played on the left wing. What game was it? Can't remember. Fuck knows. But he played on the left wing, didn't he? And he looked quite good in that game. Who was it? It was at Stamford Bridge. He played on the left wing. Can't remember. Really can't remember who it was. But Nicholas Jackson, we've seen him on the left wing, and I actually think he's a little bit better there. I think he's much better there, in fact, than playing in that number 9. And what I do know is Nkunku needs to be starting this game, so I am going to stick him in the number 9. Now, why have I dropped Conor Gallagher when he's just scored his first goal of the season? He had a good game against Aston Villa. I'll tell you why. I think that creatively, Cole Palmer, without any shadow of a doubt, is more important for us than Conor Gallagher. Okay? So Cole Palmer can't be dropped. Noni Madueke offers us an element that no one else in our team can consistently offer us. Can Raheem Sterling run at players and take players out of the game? Yes. But does he at least attempt to do it? Not even being successful in doing it. Does he at least attempt to do it in every single match? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. So, for that reason, I don't think I can have him there. And Noni Madueke is a player that week in, week out, every single game I see him in, he runs at players, he's a handful, he takes players out of the game, takes players on, draws them to the ball and opens up spaces elsewhere. So I think that if Noni Madueke can put in another performance in this game like he did against Aston Villa, I would have him there. Nkunku, why would I not have him in that lineup? Of course I've got to have Nkunku in that lineup. And Nicholas Jackson, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and during the African Cup of Nations, my heart did grow fonder for Nicholas Jackson, so I do want to see him there, and I think that's a very good starting lineup. It's definitely a starting lineup good enough to go and beat Crystal Palace. Will it do so? I can't guarantee you that, but I hope it does. Let's speak about Romeo Lavia, because Pochettino was asked about Romeo Lavia, and they said, whoever asked the question said, what's the chances we could see him back for the League Cup final against Liverpool? And Pochettino said, impossible. So that is really, really concerning. It's another, it's almost like the Fofana, Wesley Fofana, that is, situation all over again. Because, we've signed a player, we've signed him for big money. He's come in and he's just injured straight away, and we've hardly seen any of him, and it's very hard to know where we're at moving forward. Now, we need to see Romeo Lavia get fit and get a run of games in the first team before the end of the season, because if we don't, it's going to be very, very hard to determine what we do in the summer transfer window without knowing just how pivotal, just how important, and just how regularly Romeo Lavia is going to feature in the first team. Do we then look at loans for the likes of Ugochukwu, Cassidy, Andre Santos? Do we look to bring someone else in? It's very, very hard to know where we're at. We're at the presence of Romeo Lavia, because I feel like he's going to be a big, big player for us, I really, really do. And the little cameo we saw of him, was it against Preston? Might have been against Preston. Little cameo we saw of him, he looked really good. So we need to get him back fit, man. We need to get him back in the first team. And Pochettino was asked about this in the press conference as well. He said, feeling a little bit hard done by. And I suppose when, look, us as Chelsea fans, we've got sympathy, but everyone else hates Chelsea and they won't have any sympathy for us. So they'll be getting the violins out when Pochettino says this. But it's a very valid point he made. And the point he made was that we're being judged on performances without the context. And the context is, no team's had a worse injury crisis than us. You can look at Newcastle, you can look at Man United, yes, this season, but our injury crisis stretches over, 3 seasons or so. So, we really, really need to get a lot of these boys back on the pitch, man. Like, we're talking about going in for a new centre-back. Now, listen, if Chalobah leaves, Thiago Silva moves on, which it's looking like he will, then, yeah, we probably will need another option there. But we have got Bashir Humphreys, we've got other guys. But without Wesley Fofana coming back into the team, we don't really know where we're at also. So hard with these injuries to know where we're at. One player that does ease those injury rooms is obviously Injury worries, I should have said. Anyway, God knows, this is the problem with doing one take, but we're sticking with it. One player who does ease those injury worries is Malo Gusto, because Mate, we're a completely weakened team without Reece James over the last few seasons, and we've been without Reece James for half the season minimum over the last few seasons. Milo Gusto's really eased those worries, so that's a good thing there. Josh Aveste, the big dog, he did a poll on whether or not Chelsea fans would like to see Raheem Sterling moved on come the end of the season. 82% last time I looked said yes. That's worrying, isn't it? Big money signing, highest wages at the club. 82% want to see him moved on. Who would come in for Raheem Sterling? Would you lot? I'm going to ask you the question now. Would you like to see Raheem Sterling moved on at the end of the season? I think some of you would, and maybe it's a little bit of short-sightedness off the back of the last performance because early on in the season, Raheem Sterling was lighting it up, He's playing very well. That free kick against Newcastle, probably the goal of the season so far. But yeah, would you like to see Raheem Sterling moved on? If so, who would take him? I don't think a big European club are looking at Raheem Sterling. Maybe with a transfer policy of sort of last couple of years of Barcelona, someone like that. Could they afford the wages? Could they afford the transfer fee with what's going on at in Spanish football at the moment? I'm not too sure about that one. But yeah, would you like to see him moved on? I don't know. Jury's out on that one. Who would take him? Saudi, I don't know how active they're going to be now. Would Raheem Sterling go there? You'd imagine that maybe an MLS move, he could fancy that. Me and Brian were talking about this the other day. Would David Beckham's franchise team thing come in for him? I don't know. I really don't know. Crystal Palace is a game that we do usually win. They haven't beat us in about 6 years or something like that. And they're not on good form, are they? 11 goals conceded in the last 3 matches. They're without the danger man, the main man, Elise. He's out, and he was terrorising us at Stamford Bridge, so I'm very thankful for that. Also, their best defender, Mark Gahey, he's out. I'll take him back in the summer as well, if we can have him. Who else? Is Eze out? He might be, He might be out. So, they're going to be massively weakened, and Crystal Palace, they're underwhelming this season. They're going to have to look for a man during the summer because I don't think they can be sticking with Roy Hodgson again for another season. As well as he did last season, underwhelming this season, 15th in the league, 5 points above the relegation zone, which will make this a very important match for them because if you think about it, 5 points is nowhere near enough, man. Nowhere near enough. Everton would be above them had it not been for the points deduction. And also, you look at the table last season, Leicester. I mean, this is just off the top of my head. You could prove me wrong, but I would put nearly every penny to my name on it that Leicester, come the 23 game mark, were more than 5 points ahead of the relegation zone, and they went. You know what I mean? So it is concerning for Crystal Palace. They've got a few good players. That Mateta up front, he looks like a bit of a handful. But let's be honest. When you look at the team that we are able to field, and when you look at the injuries that Crystal Palace have got, we should be going out there and getting a win here. I think the fact that it's away from home might help us, because that away support against Aston Villa, that was all I could hear on my TV. And it started off a little bit, a few chants against Todd Boehly and whatnot, and the away fans, they pay their money, man. They're well within their right to show their discomfort at how the performances have been recently, but actually, that away support really spurred the team on, so I'm almost happy that it's at Selhurst Park, this game. I will be watching the game. I won't be live for it. Josh Aveste might be. I'll check with him later, and if he is, then head over to his channel, but I won't be live for it, but I will be reacting to it straight away after. Score prediction. Listen, like I said, man, very hard. It's very hard to predict how this match is going to go, especially when you look at the fact that, our best performances of the season so far haven't resulted in us then having consistency after that. And this is the game that we need to do it in, If we don't go and beat Crystal Palace, I'm telling you now, the towel's in for the rest of the season. And what I mean is not, we're going to lose every game, but I will never get gassed up off of one win again the rest of this season. We can go and smash a team. We could go and beat Man City at the Etihad, yeah? But I won't then get, all hyped up about that and think we're going to go and do something and turn a corner, because it's just not going to happen if we don't beat Crystal Palace. If we beat Crystal Palace, I think we go into the Man City game with at least a chance of a draw, and we got to be optimistic about it. But yeah, we really need to be getting some sort of, well, not some sort of result. We need a win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. 2-0 win against Crystal Palace. Really hope. But if, to use a boxing analogy, if this was like a boxing match and it was the first round, I would be saying start fast, win that first round, go for a knockdown in the first round, because Chelsea need to get our feet very much under the Selhurst Park table early on here, and we need to get a goal early to ease the nerves. But when you look at the way we played against Aston Villa, man, Aston Villa are a great team. I think they probably beat Man United today. That could come back to haunt me, but I don't really care. They're a good team. And when you look at the way we played against Aston Villa, that gives me every indication that we should We really, really should be going to Selhurst Park here and turning Crystal Palace over. People, what do you think? I was going to touch on the Enzo Fernandez rumours, but do you know what? I don't really think I'm going to, because it's just bullshit, isn't it? Actions speak louder than words. He's just took off his shirt after celebrating an absolute worldy free kick, holding it up to the fans, pointing at the Chelsea badge, and that was sort of quashing the rumours that had come out before that he was unhappy. Then the stories dropped that he wants to go to Barcelona. Listen, I'm sure maybe he would want to go to Barcelona, but I don't think it's going to happen. And obviously his agent and everyone have come out and said that it's basically bullshit. I mean, they didn't use that term, but that's my interpretation of it. You know, he was told that when he was sold the vision of the club, it wasn't, oh, we're going to get there within 6 months. It was 3 years. So far, he's been here a year. It's going to take a little while. But, you know, maybe in 3 years' time, we'll be in a better position than Barcelona, hopefully. God knows. Who knows? But I will be on the Kickoff Live today. We will be talking Chelsea. We'll be talking all other things football, so make sure you tune in. People, if you've made it to the end of the video, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. I will see you all in the next one.